Department of Government Efficiency is officially no longer with us, but the fires it set throughout our federal government, and around the world for that matter, are still smoldering. Despite that, it also seemed to fail at its core intended purpose. DOGE was supposed to cut federal spending by $1 trillion before October. That didn't actually work out. In fact, spending didn't go down at all, it went up. It went up by roughly $250 billion since 2024, while leaving thousands of federal workers in the lurch. Joining us now to discuss all of this is David Harbert, the former lead safety and occupational health manager for the FDA's Center for Veterinary Medicine, who was himself hit by DOGE cuts earlier this year. David, thank you so much for joining us. So my first question to you is, who is doing the job that you were pushed out of now? Is it not getting done at all? Is it being done by other people? What's happening?
Well, that's the great irony of DOGE, is that currently it's my understanding that there were 2 individuals that were assigned to take my previous position. And that affects not only their efficiency with their previous jobs, because now they're being tasked to do 2 jobs at the same time, but also hurts the efficiency of the FDA at whole, because you've reassigned 2 individuals to take the place of one who occupied that position currently. And that's not only the case for my position, but many other positions, not only within the FDA, but also HHS and government as a whole.
So David, I look at your resume and I see you have a PhD in toxicology, and I think, whoa, that's a pretty rarefied expertise. So what exactly did you do at your job with this specialized training, and what were you protecting people from?
Oh, thank you, Lisa. I really appreciate that. So my academic background is in biochemistry and toxicology, but also I was trained by the government. I spent 3 years as a postdoctoral fellow at the NIH, working in biosafety and occupational health and safety. And that allowed me to progress through, and I also previously worked with the Army, to my prior position at the FDA, where I was responsible for managing all occupational health and safety programs within the Center for Veterinary Medicine at the FDA. And there we encounter not only biological hazards, but chemical hazards and radiological hazards. And in addition to that, we were the only site that had an agricultural footprint. So we worked with large agricultural species such as cattle, pigs, goats, and we also had to deal with other hazards even outside the laboratory space in terms of wild animal encroachment, maintaining pasture areas. We had one instance where we had a tornado that ripped through our facility and damaged our fence line, which also affects not only our personnel safety, but also the safety of the animals. And you always, as a safety manager, you always have to be mindful of those types of considerations when you're evaluating risks to not only the personnel that work at the facility, but also the people in the surrounding neighborhoods and the environment itself.
So you now have 2 people doing the job that you alone once held.
Yes.
Do either of the 2 of them have the level of expertise and experience that you brought to the table?
Well, I think I'd like to say everyone has different experiences that'll lead them in their direction, but I think the biggest loss, and this is not just for my position, but also for all the positions within the federal government, is that institutional knowledge and the working relationships that you maintain with individuals. Especially as someone that works in occupational health and safety, it's absolutely vital that I maintain good working relationships with everyone within the workspace. And when you lose that ability and lose those personal relationships, not only does it negatively affect the safety of the workplace itself, but also affects morale, and potentially if there are spills or other permit issues, it could also affect the environment and the American public.
Dan, can I ask you really quickly, what are you doing now?
So currently I work as an independent safety contractor for a couple different companies, but I also want to emphasize that, in all honesty, I feel like one of the fortunate ones, because I had many, many friends and colleagues that went through the similar DOGE cuts, people with PhDs in virology, microbiology, clinicians, and some of them have been fortunate enough to find work, but many of them haven't. And it's such a point where, again, I'm from Western Maryland, and because the job market was so saturated in such a quick fashion, You've had many federal workers that actually had to leave the field of science altogether, where they're working in either sales or banking, just to try to put food on the table. And again, that's not just a loss, obviously, for them, but also for the American public that invested in their training and their ability to carry out scientific studies.
I feel like we're going to still learn the real-world impacts of DOGE for generations to come because of the losses this country has suffered. David, we really appreciate you coming here and sharing your story with us, and hopefully we'll continue talking to you in the months and weeks ahead.
Yeah,
Really
thank you guys, I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Huge
Up next,
guys, that's
Americans
what-
are weighing in on Donald Trump's first year back in office, and it's